Alright guys, I got my police dog here. He's called Red the Mal, and he's gonna be the new exposer of these crypto scammers with me. New little series. I gotta show Red support whenever I can, and the graphics are awesome, so here we are. I mean, I guess you guys have been waiting for this one. This is a hot ticket item here, but I'm just gonna expose the cabal as a whole for now, so you know what to keep an eye on, so you know what they've done, so you know what they plan to do. Because I'm just like 5 steps ahead of these guys at every turn. They think they're smart, they think they're powerful, they think all this stuff, but I don't think they've ever. Well, I guess Poe knows. That's why Poe is just terrified of me. But you know, they they'll never meet me on a microphone. They'll never give me a platform to speak. I've invited them a million times to try to stick up for themselves, and they know they have nothing. Um, So yeah, this is just a video on them, so you know kind of what they do, what to look out for. Um, because I know a lot of their future plans. I already know what they're doing at this moment, and I know what they're gonna do after that. So let's get into it. I don't even know where we begin here. But first off, you have to realize this: that these guys are so overpaid, and they've led to so many crypto Twitter people being so overpaid. So I mean, they just called a coin today called Reversal, and I think they probably pumped it from like 200K to 1 mil. So $800,000 market cap pump. Do you know what these guys charge normally? Like 50K USD and 50K in supply for each of them. And there's like 3 or 4 of them. You have to feed all that money, all that supply for a bunch of greedy KOLs that, all their people do is basically follow them around, and they just hop from project to project. Anytime they see a better narrative, you know, Pang comes out and they dick ride Pang the whole time. They're not the reason Pang's doing well. Pang should have never done well to begin with, but anyways, they're just on spaces with them, seeking clout and engagement, and then when the project does well, it looks like they're the messiahs. They called this project, they did so well. Well, do you realize, they get every single play like 10 times later than we do? 20 times? And most of the times, they don't even know the team. They do limited research. They just wait for teams to be able to afford their outrageous prices. And that's why their followers buy into everything so late, is because they're not willing to call a project until it hits 10 mil, so that when they ask for a 1% bag, it's worth like 100K. And they're not worth it at all. I mean, I could outpump the Cabal by myself, and I charge a lot less. Kobe can outpump the Cabal by himself, and he charges a lot less. So, first off, they're a terrible value add to the space. Some teams end up thinking they need them just because they want that big green candle and that exit liquidity, and their candle's just getting smaller and smaller. The more I expose them, the more I break them apart, which I'm currently doing. They're just gonna. This is what I do. I mean, it's not what I set out to do. I'm not here to be some big fighter and just expose everybody. But I'm focusing on pure education right now because a lot of these normies are lost. And if I have to tell the normies, who are the bad actors that you don't want to listen and you don't want to follow, those are the guys, because they don't preach education. They just preach how they've made it and you haven't, and why you haven't. They don't tell you how to make it. They don't give you the blueprint. And that's what I do on my YouTube. That's what I've done for 3 years. And that's also another great point. Poe was a nobody the entire time he's been in the space. And you hear him talk, he'll say he's a Shiba whale. He's full of shit. Ask around about Poe, and everyone will tell you, 50K market cap toppers his entire time in the space. He would, get a 1.2x and he'd cheat. I saw it time and time again in private groups with him, and he was just the biggest cheat I've ever seen. And their stories never add up too. Okay, so Poe's story is, he writes this inspirational thing like, if I can make it, you can make it. I was like, I had $3,000 left and now I'm in 8 figures. Well, how did you get that? It's not like you're doing some amazing trades, and apparently you always post what you're trading and you're working for your bag. So you're just selling like crazy on people the whole time, and we all know your wallets. We know you're not making that money through amazing trades. You're making that money with insider info. You buy in early. You wait for the team to get enough money to pay you, and then you get your 1% bag and you fucking dump the fuck out of it and move on as soon as it looks like it's not going anywhere. So for someone to be able to make a couple thousand into 8 figures, it's all just been insider pump and dumps, and if you don't realize that, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And it's the same with Eric Stevens. I mean, they never show their wallets though, right? I mean, my wallet's been doxxed since day one in the space. That's just the kind of person I am. Um, so Eric Stevens' big story is, I got these 7 plays, Harry Potter, Sonic, Obama, Inu, and this one, and that's how I went from, you know, not having money to whatever. It's like, yeah, but how did you have enough money to buy into those trades with the money you did and hold on with no fear of losing it? How did you get the initial funds for it all? By fucking doing the exact same thing that Poe did, just fucking pump and dumping insider info and overcharging all these projects. And the people that follow them, they don't realize like their information is shit. They have to wait until 5 mil, 10 mil, 20 mil, and they'll tell you it's because their effect is big. Their effect is shit. We saw that today. And there's so many different ways to minimize your effect, but that's not what these guys want. These guys want to get loud and chase clout and engagement farm. Someone like me, I've been trying to, suppress my effect so many times. Ask people who have followed me. I used to put the CA in Morse code on my channel just so people wouldn't like rush in to buy it right away, just to fuck with the bots. I'd do a voice message, and like halfway through the voice message, I would drop the Telegram somewhere so people wouldn't rush to buy. It's the complete opposite with these guys because they don't care. They don't feel any sense of responsibility. They just want the clout and they just want the engagement farming. So you have to realize you're getting in everything late, and it's not because they have the information late. It's because they're waiting for the devs to have enough money to pay them, and by then, all of Telegram's already gotten in. We already know Post coming, and it's just exit liquidity time and time again. So that's why they're bad guys to follow, apart from the fact that they're misleading. They make it sound a lot easier than it does, and they also tell everybody, you know, they're just bragging all the time about how they've made it, and you know, they've made it by scamming. So, but it can't work, right? Because now the cabal, they're too spread out now because they needed like 50 channels to keep their effect going. So I posted this thing the other day, and it's gotten longer for sure, but this is their gang. I mean, you got Not Easy, CTM, Poe, Sugar, Your Pop, Prince Press, Ralph, Eric Stevens, Dogga, and Sybil. These are like the main guys. And then I called them the minions here. We got Wasta, Dr. Crypto. So all of these guys, you'll notice the trends. Certain plays, especially if you go back in time and you look at the plays on Eric Stevens' page or Poe's page, you're going to see all those guys. They all call the same play all the time. And none of them are really that great, to be honest. And they charge an absurd amount of money for the effect that they bring. And that's why it can't work, because there's too many mouths to feed, they're too greedy, and a lot of them have the same recycled audience, and they're trying to get every project to use like all their friends, and it just doesn't work. And that's why they're so bad at their job. But anyways, these are things that you're just going to have to look up on your own. You're just going to have to look up previous projects and see how many times these same names call it. You also have Stecky in there, Jake Gagane, some other people. So just take a look at the trends. It's always the same people calling the same plays. And lately, they've gotten so fucking bad at it. It's just ridiculous. So you see Roaring Kitty the other day. I mean, they're just creating the biggest fucking pump and dumps, and it's so obvious. So they're sniping 60 to 80% of the supply, because that's how much fucking percentage they need to feed all these Cabal members, so that those guys get airdrops. They fucking pump it as much as they can, and they're creating these coins to make people FOMO that hit 20 mil in one day. 20 mil in 3 days by all these people spam calling it and throwing their money in just to trap people, because they have airdropped the entire supply to themselves. And you see it time and time again. You see the trends going around. Roaring Kitty, Pepe one. There's that Catino one. There's just so many examples in the last 2 weeks, and I literally told people it was coming. As soon as I made this video, which this is must-see content, by the way. As soon as I made this video exposing one of their Cabal members, I told people, I don't know where it was, but I basically said, here's what they're going to do next. I said they're going to start doing their own launches, and they're going to farm like 3 or 4 of them, right? And then every now and then they're going to drop one early, and they're going to push it pretty hard with all the money they just farmed, just to make people forget that they're shitty at what they do. So, and another reason it's not going to work out is because all of their followers are starting to catch on to the trends. Like, they push something so hard, and then as soon as the momentum's gone, they hop to a better narrative. So their followers are just, following them play to play, and they're starting to learn not to marry their bags anymore. We got to sell for a 3x because a lot of these are pump and dumps. And when that starts to happen, and all your followers have the same mentality, like 2x or 3x, then get out, 4x, get out, then they're all starting to sell on each other, and the projects just die quicker and quicker, and no one expects anything from it. So, I get in groups sometimes. People offer me, hey, I got an inside group. I take a look. Um, you see the same faces in there every time. As soon as I see like 5 KOLs in a group, I just leave right away. Like, I'm not. It's just the same story over and over again. When you see these airdropped wallets and these launches, look at who they end up, going to for calls. It's always them. All these big market cap plays. It's always sniped, and it's always distributed to people like them. Yeah, I think they're doing some fake community takeovers. So I think their new plan is they need to make more channels to support them. So if you go into some of these telegrams that they're going to support, I mean, if you go into Bull, I guess it's a community takeover apparently for Bull. But anyways, if you go into anything where one of the Cabal members, so one of these channels I showed you, they start supporting it and it does well. If you go look at some of the call channels who called it first, it'll be some tiny, tiny channels that nobody's ever heard of. And usually they've been made within like the last month. And that's their newest strategy is they make these small channels and they call something at like 10K. Like there's a couple people who called Bull really early. And they call it on those channels and then, they hype it like crazy and then they start showing love to their friend. They're like, hey, this channel, he called it at 10K. And they try to blow that channel up. So they get more and more channels and, they're controlling most of them themselves. So that's their newest gig, and that's what you have to look out for is, you see a Cabal play and a bunch of people spamming it, take a look at some of the first people who called it, because that's going to be a new Cabal channel. And, I went at Wizard the other day. I didn't mean to, but in my spaces, a lot of people stepped forward and were talking shit about Wizard of Soho, who's also on my list. And we heard a lot of stories about Hemule and how he just dumped it right away, and stuff like that. So I think directly related because of that, they gave Wizard Soho like the early call on Bull as well. So they're just trying to feed their members and make them look good through plays like Bull. But Bull will die very quickly unless, if they don't get sidetracked, maybe they'll pump it. But that's just to save their name because they know I'm coming for them. But if a better narrative or hype comes along, they'll be gone and Bull will die. So that's their newest plan. They're making new channels. They're trying to partner up with people like Ansem. I'm not 100% sure on this one, but people told me this was a Cabal play the other day. This is just like a theory. Venom, Carranza, and Poe, they all called it at the same time. Or sorry, Pow. And I know Pow is like pretty close with these guys, so I was tripping this play from the get-go, this frog play, because if you follow the patterns, which is what I do, where's the frog play? Right here. Let's see what it's at now. So it's not a train wreck, but I mean this is just their typical mantra. So Venom, Pow, and Tranza, they all called it like here, right? And why are you calling something at 13 million that's clearly just been pre-pumped? Like, you guys were the first ones on it. You all called it at the same time, and I'm just supposed to believe you didn't have it until 13 mil? And the reason that one sketched me out so bad is because they did the exact same thing a while back on this play. So they called this one at like 8 or 9 million. Once again, Carranza, Pow, and Venom. And Carranza's the worst person to work with in the space. He's probably scammier than the Cabal. I don't know who's scammier, but anyways, they called this play at like 9 million market cap. I think it almost did a 2x, and it was dead within 3 days. It went from like 15 million down to nothing in 3 days. And they waited till 9 mil to call it. So who are all those people buying in early? I have no idea. But that's just kind of one of my theories is like the Pow Carranza Venom gang is maybe part of their like outer network that they're trying to make them look good as well, or they're trying to farm with them. I'm not really sure what that is, but I noticed that pattern. But yeah, so the Bull thing was a complete fake community takeover. I knew that as soon as I saw it. Let's see here. There's certain insider plays where they have literally like 90 of their channels in there, and they just farm a bunch of money from it so they can fund their next launch. And then they throw all the money they farmed and they try to make one moon so people forget just how bad they are. And then what they'll do is they'll call a couple super high market cap plays like Andy on Solana, Brett on Base, which the entire space knows about. But they'll do that so if it does a 3x, they can shove it in your face for the next month and tell you like, oh, Brett to a billion. I told you should have bought Brett. But really, it's to hide the fact that most of the times when the cabal's involved and it's mostly their people, it's just pure pump and dumps every single time. And then they'll use that money to push like one project every now and then to make people forget. But that's the only reason they call these high market cap plays. It's just so people forget and get lost in the noise that almost all their plays are pump and dumps lately. Like you follow these channels I dropped. Kobe fudded this sugar guy. I've never even heard of this sugar guy, right? And this is just how funny these idiots are. So sugar called this, 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 and this. Or no, he didn't call Dinosaur. I don't know why that's in there. But he called one called Moo as well. And it was a worse chart than like any of these ones, which are all terrible. So Kobe saw them, and he saw that, who was it? It was Sugar, and this print press guy, and this, I don't see Iced on here. I guess I should have Iced on here. Huh. Anyways, this guy, House of Degeneracy, and this guy's got the same admin that's on Pow's, channel, so everyone's connected in a way. So he saw Ice call it, and Print Press, and one other channel, Sugar, this Moo coin. So he told me, yeah, that's a Cabal play, and we watched it and it went straight down. And he even fudded on his channel. It takes, some balls to fud stuff on your channel. And he did it, and, he was right about all of them. So they saw the Ralph video, and then the next day we were talking about Sugar. And then Sugar writes this, like, long post on his page, the day after we start targeting him a bit. I don't even know what his channel is. But anyways, the content of the post was basically, like, how grateful he is for everything, and he's going to start hooking up not just people in his close circle, but other people too. And it's like, you can't just realize you're caught and realize you're about to get fucked and then be like, okay, sorry, I'm going to start helping you guys out now. That's what he should have been doing from the start. And then the day after that, they start focusing more on education because they see that's what I'm doing and I'm taking over so easily. None of them have any good education to give you. All they can tell you is how to fool people, how to do pump and dumps, and how to siphon a bunch of launches to pump one good one every now and then. So anyways, the Sugar guy does a giveaway, 2 days after we start focusing our efforts on him a little bit. And it just shows you, like, the character's so weak. So these are the guys they're close to, right? I mean, just ask around about, keep losing my spot. Just ask around about Wizard of Soho. You'll hear a lot of stories. Ask around about, Your Pop. Everyone has a lot of stories on him. Ask around about, well, Ralph, if you watch this video, you're going to see just how bad Ralph is. Ask around about Henok. Lots of people talk about him. And then just look at these channels. And look at anything that they've ever combo called and look at how it does. All pump and dumps, all shit. So, I really suggest you watch this video though. It's someone very close to the Cabal. Someone that the Cabal helped grow. This guy was kind of like a nobody. And then a couple projects he was pushing, and the Cabal joined him in the spaces, and they helped blow him up. And just watch what he did. He literally sells all of his airdrops day one. He's getting like a lot of money for these plays, and then he's on his channel talking about, work for your bags, hold it with conviction, and meanwhile he's dumping every single play the same day he gets it. And you have to think, scammers always stick together. The Cabal basically raised this guy. I had a conversation with him. I screenshotted some of it on my page, on my Twitter. And he thinks it's impossible for someone to culture call something without having a bag in it and without getting paid for it. Like, the only vested interest in you calling a good play is for yourself. It's like, dude, don't you think of the big picture? If I call something and it does well, all my people make money. Then the next time I post, they're going to have more money to throw. I'll have more of an effect, more of a reputation built. And he can't even process that. He thought I was lying when I said that stuff. He's like, show it to the world. Try to tell me with a straight face that you do that without a bag in it. So that's the kind of people they're working with. They're working with Sugar, who starts to feel the heat of me and Kobe, and he's like, I'm gonna change my ways. Working with this Ralph guy, who everyone should realize how bad he is by now. Ask around about Not Easy. I mean, these guys all have their comments off on their channel for a reason. Like, look at my page. I've always had comments on. I deal with a lot of fudders. So none of these guys have their comments on for a reason. This Not Easy guy is basically as scammy as it gets. He got paid, I think, 200 SOL the other day to call something, and he didn't call it, and he ran away with the money. He's dumped 200K on multiple coins. I'll get to Not Easy one day. I'll do a video just of everything he's done. I don't want to give that piece of shit too much time for this. But yeah, you just have to think though. It's like if a scammer was in my house, I would get him out so quickly, and I would talk shit about him all over the place. These guys never said one word about Ralph. They all know how to wallet track. They all know, like, they could like any normal person would ask the dev, who's this guy dumping every time we get a play, and they would figure out it's Ralph, and they would get him out. But that's what they're doing too, so they don't expose him. They all work together. They all keep hush hush, and that's their little system. So yeah, what they're gonna do now is they're gonna launch some more tokens. They're gonna try to feed some of these new channels they create and make those channels look good. But now that I've said this, their plan's gone. So they're gonna go back to the drawing board. But no matter what they come up with, I'm gonna be on to them, because I know how scammers work. I've tracked them for a while. I've called them out for a while, and I got a lot of inside info everywhere in the space. So you can't hide from me, Cabal. So they're gonna try to do a bunch of their own launches. You can usually recognize it's their launch. They're gonna snipe the fuck out of it, and a lot of those channels I showed you, they're gonna call it. So they're gonna start trying to use some other callers every now and then, or start trying to do some early calls. But you have to realize every single one of these is just pump and dump hype volume. They all die so quickly. And yeah, I mean, I got some insiders as well. I don't really rely on them because I just know so much about the DeFi space. Like, I'm not great at wallet tracking. I'm not great at a lot of things, but what I am great at is recognizing patterns and just using basic logic to figure out what people are doing based on all the other scammers I've followed before. So yeah, more of these are gonna come out. This is just kind of what to look at, what to think about when you're watching these guys. When you're listening to them on Spaces, and why don't you give some proof of the charity work you do, Poe? And if you do it, it's because you're such a piece of shit. You think that's gonna save your soul or whatever the fuck. Your conscience is always gonna be dirty. But why don't you guys show us with your wallets how you made your money? Mine's all public information. It's all docs. Every airdrop I get, I demand the dev to put it on my docs wallet because I want people to know when I sell. Every paid promo I get, people will know. So show us your money trail. Like, if you actually are base and I'm calling you out, show us how you got all your money. I bet you never will though. So yeah, you just have to realize a lot of what they're saying, they're full of shit, and they're also bad at what they do. I mean, their education is bad. Take a look at my YouTube videos. Listen to the one on narratives and the trends in the space. Listen to that, and if you know anything about the space we're in, you're gonna realize, like, I hit the nail on the head with a lot of what I say. These guys, they don't give you any blueprint. They don't give you any useful tips. They're just morons, and they just chase high market cap and volume, because anyone in a bear market can just start calling plays. Or sorry, in a bull market. You just pick some of the lead runners, and you're like, oh, Whiff is so bullish. Oh yeah, Myro's so bullish. Oh yeah, Bread on Base so bullish. And they just say everything's so bullish. And then it goes up, and they think they're geniuses. But meanwhile, the people on Telegram, we're getting in everything early. We're getting like a couple hundred X's all the time. And if you're with me on my one Twitter space, probably like the third or fourth Twitter space I had on Twitter, live during the space, some guy dropped me an alpha, and I told everyone, oh, I just got something dropped. Me and the guy that I was talking with at the time, we kind of talked it over, we looked it over. I was like, yeah, it's probably all right. Boom, Basenji, like 400x to 50 million within a day. So that's what we do on Telegram. That's what we've always done. And we just didn't know Twitter had blown up like it did. I didn't know Twitter influencers were this greedy. And it's more than just the KOLs. These people running the spaces. I'll do a video just on the spaces owners soon. It's just so pathetic what they're doing. And I feel bad because the normies come in and they see these guys on a 600 person space with Brett, and they're like, oh, this Poe guy, like they act like he knows what he's talking about. I should listen to him. And if you listen to him, you're just being his exit liquidity. And you know, you might catch a 2x, 3x every now and then, but any good play he ever calls, the rest of us on Telegram are in way before him. And I'll prove that to you over time. I just did it today on the Twitter. You know, I showed that reversal call they did today. We AMA'd with them like a month ago. You know, Kabosu, which Poe loves to shout about, I called that at 5K on my gambles page. So, I mean, he called it at like 3 mil maybe. So, tons of examples of that, but you know, they're never gonna get you in early because they need to pre-pump the fuck out of every launch. How? And yeah, you just have to realize like how they came into their position. It wasn't from a long track record of good quality calls. It was just from being loud. And so many people that do that, they're just such bad actors. They all say the same shit. This is going to a billion. It's going to get listed on this, this, and this. It's just a fucking lame script that everyone uses, and no one knows what they're talking about on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, you might think I'm full of shit, but you know, if you watch that video where I expose Ralph, you'll see I'm bang on the money. And like, this isn't what I do. I'm here to educate. I'm here to drop alpha. I do a lot of stuff in this space. I don't have time to just expose people all day. So, you know, most of my videos I'll be showing transactions and, you know, dumping and, you know, really concrete evidence instead of just patterns. But I think it's just useful for you to keep this in mind. And, you know, they're going to hear about this video. They send spies into the voice chat that I sit in and, you know, take recordings of it and just try to like clip parts together to make me look bad. But I can guarantee you right now, they're going all over the space trying to find dirt on me, and they can't find anything because there is none. Because I've been honest since day one. I've had my wallet stock since day one. And I'm an OG, guys. I've been here for 3 years. I survived the bear. I built my channel in the bear. I took over during the bear. I led by example in the bear. So, you know, I let these guys get carried away on Twitter because I didn't pay any attention to that. But, you know, now you're going to see what I can do in the bull. And who really knows their shit, because these guys were irrelevant that entire time. And like, just for some examples of recently, well, this was my most famous one because everyone in the space partnered with Angel Dust back in the day. And I went and I said this: Pink Sale fair launch tomorrow. Lots are hyped about it. Could do well, never know. Should be noted their last project had a nice pump, and they overpromised and underdelivered as it died slowly and never fought back. So it may be a quick flip. Judge it for yourself. And that's what I said, and I got the entire space yelling at me because everybody partnered with these guys. Pink Sale said it was the best play of all time. They won an award in a conference in Dubai for the DeFi project of the year. And they acted like they were so good, just like I said, overpromise, underdeliver. And it was the biggest rug of 2022. Just maybe hit a 2x and then just went straight down and never came back. So that's me going against the whole space on Twitter. Everyone was yelling at me. So many people sold out. They didn't do any research, any info, any insight. But there's way more examples. And like, this isn't what I do. I don't just go around fudding all the time, but just ask anyone around that's seen me and seen my track record. I'm almost always right with this shit. Because I don't like to stick my neck out and FUD and be like, you know, corrected. It's embarrassing. So, you know, that was Angel Dust. Let's take a quick look at Slurf. This was a recent one, so it comes to mind. So I can see these things coming from a mile away, right? Like, as soon as Book of Memes came out, I was screaming to everyone about pre-sales, not to buy them. I said Slurf looked like shit, don't buy it. I said everything after that. I got banned from the small chat, because I was in the small chat just, I wish I could find the message with this one guy. I was in the small chat, I got banned on 4 accounts, because I was screaming at them all that, like, this isn't going to work. I hear these people on these massive pre-sales. They say the dev is like so based. They love the dev so much because he went on a Twitter space for an hour. Like, that doesn't mean anything. You can't trust him just because you heard his voice. So yeah, I've been warning people about big pre-sale raises. The second Book of Memes came out, and I said don't fall into that trap. There's gonna be some big time rugs, and like, what do you know? I've been preaching it forever, and then finally people got hurt enough. Raj finally posted something like the other day. You know, a couple weeks way too late. I was on every space, and I was telling them about this. I was telling them, you know, don't buy into these big raise pre-sales. And I made a video on this YouTube actually, in the educational tab, like why I knew that was a bad thing, because big raise pre-sales don't work, especially for memes. It's just people, you know, riding off the hype and trying to farm. So, you know, I saw Slurf AI, and I've seen this pattern before on Pink Sale. this is what happens. So I saw a bunch of channels calling Slurf AI. So I said, Slurf AI sounds amazing. I wonder how long they spent planning and developing the idea for it. It must be based on a lot of hard work and planning by the team and community building. Or did they just see Slurf get a bunch of hype and get all the pink sale incubators and ruggers together and be like, let's take advantage of hype again like we did Grok AI and so many shit rugs based on nothing. Stop aping pure dog shit, use your brains. So let's take a look at Slurf AI. Like this was pre-launch that I said this, and yeah, that's your project. It's so obvious to see, and they probably still filled like 200 BNB, and that money is just why do people have to lose that? Why do they have to fall into the trap? It's so obvious, and no one's teaching people, how to spot this stuff. And you just have to realize a lot of people take advantage of the hype and the trends. Obviously, it's easier for me. I get a lot of great inside info, but just recently there's another one just to prove that when I FUD, I know what I'm doing. So this is Dinosoul. So I got loud about this one too. So Dinosoul. This was the warning on Pink Sale, okay? Manual listing can lead to complete control of funds to project owners and thereby does not always guarantee token listings. It can result in a mishandling of funds. So basically they have 10,000 SOL, $1.8 million, and they're saying the token might not even list. The people might just run away with it, but we're going to allow it on our launchpad that we say is safe and secure, even though you might just get rugged. So I said that's ridiculous, and I said I'm pretty sure this is a team who has rugged multiple before, but man oh man, talk about not giving a fuck. Saw a $37 million raise as well recently. That ended up being complete shit. And then here's me. All people on Twitter care about sucking off Slurf and Brett for views and not addressing this major problem. And none of them did. They all had Slurf on their space because they wanted the engagement, they wanted the clout. But they don't realize the effect that had. Every normie who came in and listened to Slurf, they're like, oh, I guess it's normal to, just see a wallet on Twitter and throw a bunch of money at it. And if there's a big raise, it's super hype. It's like, I might be able to make a lot of money on these things. Instead of, warning people, these big pre-sales aren't normal. There's going to be a lot of big rugs, and you should just avoid most of them. And instead, they were just, entertaining Slurf, not realizing the effect that has. So anyways, then I went further on it. I said, wow, people are still promoting this even with this big warning, sellouts. I'm pretty sure this is the team from Baby Shia, Sephirium, and Spyro. Good marketers came for all three of those projects too, blah, blah, blah. So you got to understand, like, every dev is in my DMs. A lot of the good plays out there, I have it at 20K, I have it at 50K. It's just sometimes I don't know which ones to choose. But, I also get a lot of inside info like this, but I know how to spot certain teams. So I know what Baby Shia does every time, and that's why I've called them out. So here's me. And to the Baby Shia team, who I've fudded successfully on all three of your launches so far, you can't hide from me. I have sources everywhere. Played this game too long. So that was on Dinosoul. This is all pre-launch. I have no idea if I'm going to be right or whatever. And I basically told people, they know how to make hype, so they might get you some small X's. But don't marry your bags, and don't treat it as a long-term play until you check the charts of the three I sent you first. So without further ado, this is how Dinosoul did. There we go. So this was all in like I think 2 days. It went up here, got to like several millions, and then bang. And then here's me saying so much lower. We're at 400 now, and now it's at 100K. And once again, I don't know, that's Katina. That's another Cabal rug. I mean, you saw Ralph post it, several of them, and this is just normal to people, I guess. But to go to like 14 million in 1 day and die, that is very, very farmy shit. And it happens time and time again with the Cabal. They did it with SIU. That was one of the most disgusting things I've seen. So SIU is at 30K. Cabal comes in. Someone gets an 8% wallet. They pump it to 6 million. Gets completely destroyed. All in 1 day. And then they launch their own SIU. Get 80% of the floor. And start trying to... So they killed the project where a community wasn't great. The project wasn't great. But they went over there and they made sure they killed it. They made sure they farmed a bunch of money. And then they went and launched their own. The same week as Roaring Kitty. I mean, I don't know what they're funding for. Some crazy launch where they try to win people over. But don't fall for it. Like, it's so easy to see coming. Just follow those channels I told you. Follow the new ones that they pop up. And they start supporting. They'll be like, oh, I gotta show some love to my friend, blah blah blah. It's all them. They're all trying to network. They're trying to get Ansem in their network too. If so, I'll bring Ansem down. I don't give a fuck. Uh, what am I getting into here though? Oh yeah. So here's my last post on Dinosaur at 100K, and this is within days. So think of how much money just got fucking farmed. I mean, this thing hit like maybe 5-6 mil. People were updating it all over Telegram like, oh my god, such a good play. This is sending, and within like 2 days, it was down to 100K. And this is what bugs me. Like all this money just went to the farmiest team who's farmed the space. Baby Shia, they farmed like probably a couple $1 million. It was a big play. I called it out. I knew it was going to be a scam after it did its initial X's. I knew they were going to hype it. I knew it was going to do well. And then I knew they were going to pull the plug at some point. And like, if all this money went to good devs who are working hard and good teams, I mean, people would have had such better plays, taught them to be better holders, taught them to not be scared. And that's what I'm always doing. I'm thinking of the bigger picture and how this affects everything. And that's why it bugs me so much, is because I can see it coming from a mile away. I try to warn people. I try to tell other people to join me in warning people, and they'd rather just get paid and work on their engagement. And it's so pathetic. So, like I said, I fudded all 3 of their plays as well. I'll just show quickly. This is our YouTube group. This is the private group. Got 4K people in here. So this guy was bullish on Spyro, and then this guy says, you revealed out the scam behind OBTC team and now Spyro team. Nice one, legend. So I don't know if that was like on stream or whatever. I can't find the proof, but I mean, you can see when this message is February 21, and this is before they scammed. Baby Shia, I know I was warning people. I bought in initially. I told people to do well initially. So here's me saying Baby Shia scam, told you guys. The team gave us 1 ETH, and I never bought in. I had it on the Google Doc as like a risky play, and why. And then Sephirium. So these were their 3 plays that they called. Where did I know it wasn't me on this one. This one was Maurice that found this one. So this is my AMA host. He's my right-hand man on the channel. And he says, Sephirium is the clowns from Baby Shia, apparently. So that's what we do in the space. We get so much good info sent to us. We can choose to use it or not. But usually when I find a scam team and I don't want them to take it to the next level, that people get hurt even more, I kind of stop it in its tracks. And that's not my main job. My main job is to make people money, educate, which I do a great job of, but I can't bite my tongue at some of this stuff. So in the last little while, I've been fudding because I just learned about the Cabal on Twitter, and I figured out their game like immediately. And like, Cabal, if you're listening, and I know you are, I mean, you can't win. I don't care how many channels you get on your side. I know everything you're gonna do before you do it. I see you adapt. I learn what you've done. I warn them. They're gonna be watching you all day long. They know what to look for now. And even if you start playing it clean now, you've already lost their trust. So have fun dumping on each other. Have fun splitting apart. I got inside people in the Cabal feeding me info. I don't even need it because I'm so on to you guys. And you guys are just going to tear each other apart. And you're going to get greedier and greedier and sell. And eventually, some of the Cabal members, some of these guys, will start doing hard scams because they know their little, reign is over. And just watch out for it. I mean, these guys have already done hard scams before. Crypto Frog, are you serious? This guy rugged BSC Flip. Ask anyone about BSC Flip in 2021. Crypto Frog's project, straight up rug. I thought he was gone after that. I thought he was irrelevant. And I see him working with the Cabal now in all these, private groups. So what was the last thing here? I mean, ask around about my track record. If you don't know me, I've been around for 3 years. I don't think anyone will try to say that I haven't had the best calls to date. AMAs, pre-sales, been at the top of the game for all of them. Gave out $1 million in 2022 to my subs, just in giveaways and other things. And as base and honest as it gets in this sea of shit out there. So take my word for it or not, these are the patterns that I've seen since I started following them. And I mean, my track record speaks for itself. I don't FUD projects every day. I'm not in the business of doing that. But when I do, there's the alpha I called in the Twitter space. But yeah, I FUDded Kermit. I FUDded this at 12 million market cap, right here. Pang team did Catfish. Kermit and Honk, same shit. Mew Mew Bull, all the same Kelly Wells, all the same farming. So I called out Kermit for being a scam. Fought with them back and forth at about 12 mil, and within a week, it's at 1.7. And then I fought with them about Rex. And if you were in the voice chat at Rex, all I did was go into the voice chat at like up here, and I asked the dev one question. I didn't even FUD him. I used his own words. He said he spent 550K on the launch already. So I came on the voice chat and I was like, you know, how did you spend 550K on what? Where did the money come from? And why did you blow your load on day one? Like, if you're trying to sustain this project and make it into something, why did you blow all your money right at launch? And it's the same thing. I mean, it all got sniped, and then all the cabal called it, and just like look at it, it just died. So I fudded this, I fudded Kermit, and you know, the cabal, they're so mighty and powerful and good at what they do, right? In their own words. How come I fudded Kermit and it died, and you guys were all supporting it? How come I fudded Rex and it died, and you guys were all supporting it? And how come my FUD record is better than, you know, anyone you're gonna see out there? And this video, this guy's close to you. Like, this says it all. These are the people you work with. Someone like Ralph, and he's a fucking dumper. Where do you think he learned it from? Eric Stevens and Poe trained this guy to be just like them. And you know, I've heard theories that, you know, CTM is an account they made up and whatever. I believe a lot of it. I don't know for sure how deep it goes. I don't know everything about their game right now. My insiders are still slowly gathering info on them, but you know, I'm gonna come with screenshots as well. This was more just about knowing what they do, knowing their patterns, and what to look out for. But yeah, more videos will come. You know, I have devs stepping forward all the time. I'm not seeking this information. I'd rather work on myself, my education. I really suggest you take a look at our educational videos. There's a separate tab for those. Amazing stuff. You know, AMAs, we have some really good AMAs. Just had one pop off for like a 30-40x recently. So check out those AMAs, but definitely check out the educational videos too. Especially if you're newer, you'll learn so much from those. But yeah, this is all I can do for now, is just, you know, keep your eye on these channels, keep your eye on the channels they work with. Anytime that these guys call something, see who else called it, and just start to notice the patterns. Yeah, and we can take these guys down. I mean, it happens pretty easily. Once you're onto them, they start to fumble. They start doing new things. When they start doing new things that they're not comfortable with, they're going to make mistakes. I'm going to be there for all those mistakes. And you know, devs are just coming forward. I'm not seeking this information. That Ralph thing got dropped into my lap one night, and I was so bored. I was like, all right, I'll take a look. And the evidence was overwhelming. I have like several people about Not Easy telling me stories, and you know, once they give me hard, concrete evidence, we can do a video just on Not Easy. I mean, Poe is easy. Sugar's easy, just like how he reacted from me and Kobe calling him out. Yeah, Eric Stevens is easy. It's so obvious. And then, yeah, everyone says the same thing about Your Pop, Henok. Just ask around. And you got to realize, like, all their spaces, it's not open mic. They lit you up, and if you start fudding in any sort of way, they mute you. And they only lit up their friends who kind of, like, dick rat each other. Go to one of my spaces. I let anyone come up. I actually am, like, begging for a fudder sometimes so I can show people, you know, I don't know. Everyone's always ass kissing in my spaces, and I was just wishing for a fudder to come up one day. I've talked to one fudder so far in the space, and like I gave him all the time of day to explain, you know, his case, and everyone kind of sided with me. It was so obvious. So, anyways, I mean, I hope I was able to convince you in a way that, you know, I know what I'm doing. Whether it's my audience that does it, you guys better spread the word. Just keep your eye on these guys and keep these things in mind. I don't want you to get burned by them, and I want them to know we're onto them. And we'll just see what they do next. I have a couple ideas of what they're doing. I think they thought this new call channel thing was going to be their new, you know, brainchild, and they're going to have more and more channels on their side. But we just shut that one down. So we'll see what they do next. You know, the bear market's not going to be good for them. These guys are just pure hype men, so they just go from play to play and try to make green candles and try to make people FOMO. But when the sentiment's not there and the memes aren't doing so well, they're going to be so shit, and they're just going to resort to their farmy ways. So yeah, like I said, I wish I had better evidence for you guys, like hard concrete stuff about each one. I'm sure it'll come. I'm not seeking it, but I'm sure it'll get dropped into my lap randomly. You know, Crypto Frog, I already, yeah, like just go to BSC Flip. Carnage, I think a lot of people know about that already. Sugar, Ralph. So we already have a lot of these guys already. Um, Wizard of Soho. I mean, if you were in the spaces the other day hearing about the He-Meal team, um, lots of people say he kind of like hijacks them and says he'll FUD them if they don't do certain things. So Sybil, I've had DMs about Sybil. I don't even know who this person is, but apparently they charge 9 ETH and they dump as well. So these will all come out in due time. I'll do a video on each of them. I know they're all scammers. Scammers always stick together. I've been calling out scammers since 2021. It's part of the reason I got so big was because not only was I like calling bangers that no one else could because I have so much great intel and inside information, but I was also exposing all the fucking bad actors. And my reputation took a hit sometimes, but I didn't care. I was always in the pursuit of justice, and I still am. So thanks for watching the video. Please watch my other educational content, and do your best to spread this word about the Cabal for me.